Hey everyone, welcome to the Fantasy Pros Baseball Podcast. I'm your host, Bobby Sylvester, and today we're going to be doing our first mock draft episode of the season. We've got a great guest on. You guys know him. It's Steve Gardner of USA Today Sports. He's on Twitter at his name, Steve A. Gardner. I'm at Bobby Fantasy Pro. Steve, thanks for taking the time to come to the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Bobby. It's a fantastic time of year as we set our strategies and get ready for baseball.
It's very exciting, isn't it? I've actually done probably 20 mock drafts already, but this is the first one I'll be doing on the podcast. It's also going to be on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/fantasypros. And I'm going to go over the league settings here really quick. It's just basic ESPN general league settings. So we've got a catcher, first base, second base, shortstop, third base, corner infield, middle infield, 5 outfielders. We got a utility spot, and then 9 pitchers. It doesn't matter if it's starting pitcher, relief pitcher, and only 3 bench spots. Steve, how do you use those bench spots when you've got just a few of them?
I think you definitely have at least one pitcher, maybe even 2, and you load up as best you can on multi-position guys because
Yeah.
if something happens, you get an injury or whatever, you like to be able to shuffle the roster around.
What I like to do, I'm with you. I like to have several starting pitchers on my bench at any given time. Maybe I've got 5 or 6 of them on my roster, and then I just load up my 9 pitchers with those relief pitchers who are really going to help your ratios, just because I feel like, you get a big benefit from the strikeouts there. The relief pitchers playing every single day, they're going to help your ratios as well. I'd rather have my bench used that way.
Yep, that makes sense.
So what we're doing today, guys, it's called a multi-user draft, and this isn't available to you guys quite yet. It is going to be available soon, but our draft wizard is available, and you guys are going to love our draft wizard. I'm on it right now. You can see on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. I'm actually going to start the draft now while I tell you about the draft wizard. Guys, it is super fast. Like, Steve and I are going to take our time talking about the players. If you're doing this by yourself and not drafting against somebody else, it's going to take you 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes. I mean, you can blitz through 3 or 4 of these bad boys while you're doing your lunch break. It's really fun to use as well. And I like to test like every single strategy that I can possibly do. This is the only practice you're going to get. You can practice 100 times before your draft starts from every spot, all kinds of league settings that you can adjust as well. And the best part about it, it's free. You guys can use the draft wizard for free. So our draft is starting. We had randomized draft order. And I got the number 3 pick here. First 2 guys off the board, as you can see, Ronald Acuna, Mike Trout. I'm going to click the hide drafted players button right now so I can just see what's available to me. And Steve, I'm looking at Christian Yelich, Mookie Betts, Cody Bellinger. Those are the obvious top 5 with Acuna and Trout. Is it fair to say that after Trout and Acuna, who I think are kind of a toss-up for 1-1, that Yelich is the easy number 3 pick?
I think so. And just because he's been so consistent, he does run, he does hit for power, he does everything.
Yeah,
And I mean, you can make at least find some holes in Mookie Betts and Cody Bellinger. Betts because of the trade possibilities, and Bellinger just because of the strikeouts, and him peaking last year after a down year the year before.
sure. So this is really interesting. I was planning on just punting stolen bases. Now that I have Yelich, I'm not going to punt stolen bases. I'm going to get probably 25, 30 of them from Yelich. So I'll figure out what my strategy is as I move on, see what's available in the next couple rounds. But I'm definitely taking Yelich. I know some people are a little worried thinking, oh, he broke his kneecap. Cody Bellinger is right behind him. Why not just take Bellinger and play it safe? A broken kneecap, that's something that it's not like, he's dealing with a big old surgery that he has to return from. This is something I expect him to be 100% in spring.
Yep, and he missed the end of last season, and had the whole off season to recover.
Right.
So I think you're in good shape.
All right, so you have pick number 10 in this draft. Betts is off the board, Bellinger as expected. And then Garrett Cole, Bregman, Lindor, DeGrom. You've got some great options here between Turner, Story, Arenado. Which direction you going?
Yeah, 2 pitchers already off the board, which I would think at 10, you're pretty safe in thinking, maybe I can get DeGrom at that point.
Sure.
I know I ended up in the FSGA draft. I think I had the 9th overall pick, and Garrett Cole was still available there. So this draft going a little heavy on pitchers so far, which opens it up for, I think, an either or. And they're both very good. Trey Turner or Trevor Story depends
Sure.
on whether you want to go all in on the stolen bases, or a guy that can do many different things, hit for power and steal bases. That's a tough call for me, and I think
Stolen bases are a little bit quite a bit harder to get than home runs. Their averages are going to be about the same. Turner's going to have more runs, but much fewer runs batted in. I'm right with you. I think this is a toss-up.
Indeed, and I've got Story and Turner right back to back in my rankings. I've got Trevor Story ahead of Trey Turner, so I'm going to take the runs batted in, the home runs, and a little bit of speed too, and try and find stolen bases elsewhere later on in the draft.
I can't believe you did that because I thought I was one of the only people. We probably are some of the only people in the industry who have Story ahead of Trey Turner because Turner's got that bonkers upside. But you look at what Story did the last 2 years. I mean, he's going to get 100 runs, 100 RBIs. He's going to bat 290 with 35 homers, 25 stolen bases. And Turner, he's had some injury issues as well. So I just think Story's the better bet.
I do too, and with no Anthony Rendon there in Washington, might decrease the potency of that offense just a little
Sure.
bit.
Hey, Trey Turner dropped you in the second round. You just going to load up right here and go back-to-back shortstops?
Wow, that's very tempting. That is very tempting because Soto off the board, Arenado off the board. Normally,
We've got a middle infield spot here, and this is typically a hard position to fill.
It's awfully tempting. However, and I said, I had Story and Trey Turner back to back in my ranking, so I would get essentially two top 10 guys for me. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go with again a little bit of a homer bias here because I saw Anthony Rendon play so much last year. I think I'm going to go kind of a little bit maybe overdrafting, but Anthony Rendon is the guy that I like.
Interesting. I mean, he's so solid. You're not going to lose drafting Rendon, right?
And I love the fact that going to the Angels, he's going to be in the same lineup, hitting behind Mike Trout. That's going to do wonders for him.
Agree.
And so I know it's tough. A lot of times people don't like to take players who change locations on a different team and figure it needs to need to settle in for a year. I'm not afraid to do that. So since we're doing this little mock draft, I'm going with Anthony Rendon and taking guys that I feel most comfortable with.
I thought you might go Scherzer there. I don't blame you for going Rendon, a bit of a surprise, but he's definitely a solid second-round pick. Hey, guys, if you want to do this with us, you can compete along with us because it's going to grade us at the end of the draft between Steve and I, show us how we're doing at each. That's something Draft Wizard does. It's going to show us how we do at each category compared to the rest of the league. And it's at fantasypros.com/draftwizard. Again, that's fantasypros.com/draftwizard. And Steve, this is a 5x5 roto league. So we're using the typical, runs, home runs, RBI, stolen bases average over on the pitcher side, ERA, whip, wins, Ks, and saves. I don't love this spot drafting in the late second round because there's so many different ways that you could go here, and it feels like you're reaching regardless of what you do. I'm going to go with the guy who had an absolutely incredible 2019 season. Part of the reason why is because he was playing in that potent Red Sox offense. 129 runs, 115 RBIs, that 311 batting average, 30-plus homers, and he's still super young. He might even get better. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Rafael Devers wins the AL MVP this year. Do you think he has that kind of upside?
Nice. I think so. I mean, he's young, and just the leap that he took last year, it makes you wonder what actually is the ceiling for this young man. So, yeah, I think that's a solid pick right there.
All right, so let's see here. I don't have a starting pitcher yet, and typically I'm not in a big rush to get them unless I'm going with my pocket rocket strategy, where you get two aces right at the turn, so you're going to be dominating several of those categories, and then you just punt batting average. I'll be writing an article about that here within the next month, but obviously I didn't do that because I had the number 3 pick. I'm not taking a starting pitcher ahead of any of those 5 hitters, but I'm looking at Shane Bieber still on the board right now. Last year he had 260 Ks. I'm going to pull up his projections as well. In fact, I'm going to sort it by only starting pitchers just to show how far ahead of the rest of the pack he is. And actually, our consensus projections like Chris Sale quite a bit more. I'm going to see what the chances are Sale drops to me in the next round. He's going to be gone, so I've got to decide between Bieber or Sale, or I could go with one of these offensive players, maybe Aaron Judge. He's out there right now. He's obviously going to hit a bunch of homers. I like the way I started. I'm going to go with Chris Sale. Now, Shane Bieber was better last year, but a lot of that was because Sale was injured. If Sale's healthy, he might be the best pitcher in baseball.
Could be. Could very well be. I mean, he did have 300 strikeouts a couple years ago.
I thought about reaching for George Springer here, and he's available with your pick. Is that who you're going with?
Let's see. Interesting thing when you have the draft wizard up, it'll let you know what the consensus rankings are among the experts and the percentages of what experts would agree to take the certain players. Interesting that Pete Alonso comes up and Xander Bogaerts. Well, I don't need a shortstop. We've already established the fact that I'm not going to go double shortstop this early, but it's interesting to me and. Shane Bieber just went a couple of picks ahead of me. So in terms of starting pitchers, I have to look here in round 3. You may have to get worried. Blake Snell is still out there. Luis Castillo is still out there. I'll tell you what, though.
Kershaw's awfully reliable.
He is that. I'm gonna go a little bit counterintuitive. I'm gonna go with Yordan Alvarez.
All right.
And go ahead and say, last year, what he showed in just that little, fraction of a season was phenomenal. And what's his upside? It's huge. So I was thinking a little bit about Charlie Blackmon there. He was another suggestion. He goes right after Alvarez.
Right.
But I'm going to go with a little bit more power and a little bit more run production and go ahead and take Alvarez.
I think that's a really solid pick. He's in the Astros lineup as well, and a lot of people are panicked about, well, what's going to happen now that they're not banging on trash cans. They weren't cheating last year, were they? It was 2 years ago.
Well, I mean, in the World Series, the Nationals said that they did some very serious rearranging of their signs and everything in the World Series just because, of some of the rumors. We don't know. And I think Major League Baseball would like us to not know, would like to sweep this under the rug as quickly as possible. But yeah, I think it's hard to say.
Before you make your next pick, Steve,
yep.
Luis Robert just went 4-2.
Whew.
Now, there's going to be some drafts where he goes really early, and that's what I like about Draft Wizard is every draft is different because you're drafting against other expert rankings, or you can set it up to draft against the ADP on the site you're going to be playing on. But it's just interesting to see some of these drafts. And he's one of these guys that's really polarizing.
Yes, he is. And, I got a chance to see him play and interview him because he was USA Today's Minor League Player of the Year. And that was interesting. Everybody has, such a huge opinion of him and the things that he showed last year, stealing bases, playing the defense in the outfield, hitting for power, is just, everybody loves him. And we've got a pretty good track record of picking players who succeeded in the major leagues as our minor league player of the year. And that leads into, Bobby, as a segue, another former USA Today minor league player of the year.
Blake Snell.
My next pick, Blake Snell. I've got an opening now for a starting pitcher with 3 hitters on the board. And Blake Snell is my top player remaining. And it is also the Draft Wizards' top player remaining. I feel very fortunate Blake Snell's still available here at pick 4-3.
I think that's a great pick, and I hope Mondesi's still there for me, and it looks like he was taken. Yes, he was taken right before me, just a couple of picks. Oh, Ketel Marte off the board as well. I would have loved to grab him as a backup. All right, well, I'm going to have to really think about this one a lot. Hey, by the way, while I'm stalling, I saw someone in the White Sox organization said that Luis Robert is the next Mike Trout?
Yes. Eloy Jimenez said that.
Oh, it was Jimenez. Okay.
Yes. Indeed. I saw that same sort of thing. We had that on our site yesterday. I understand that it's kind of over the top to make that comparison. However, they both are really solidly built, great power hitters, and can also run like the wind. So I can see where, especially if you've played with him,
if anyone in the minor leagues is going to be Mike Trout, and that's like a once in 100 years type of thing, right? Mm-hmm. Or I guess you could go back to Mickey Mantle. Like Mike Trout's a little bit better of a version than Mickey Mantle. I guess it happens every 40 years, 50 years. But yeah, it would be Robert.
Mm-hmm.
This is a hard decision for me. I like Keston Hiura. He's the top lift on the board, which is basically what's going to help me the most now, considering all the categories. But for me, it's down to 2. Clayton Kershaw, who I talked about earlier, is super reliable. Yeah, he's a little bit injury prone, but when he pitches, he's great. Or Giancarlo Stanton, who could freaking win me a league, hit 60 homers at Yankee Stadium, but he's so injury prone as well. I'm going to go get Clayton Kershaw right now, and maybe, just maybe, Stanton will still be on the board for me. And he is. All right, baby. Let's go Giancarlo Stanton on the turnaround. There's really no one else I would even consider looking at this right now. The other top guys available, Patrick Corbin, not a bad pick whatsoever. A couple other pitchers. We've got Chris Bryant, who I guess has a lot of upside, also a little bit injury prone. Suarez, Nelson Cruz. There's a big drop off here. I got really lucky that Stanton is still available for me. So now I've got Yelich, Devers, Stanton in my lineup, Sale and Kershaw at the top of my rotation. Pretty pumped about that. I'm going to need a little bit more speed though.
Yep. Well, you can address that a little bit later, I think.
Sure. I think D. Gordon is going to be a nice steal later in drafts. And there goes Zach Greinke right before you. That's somebody that I would have considered taking if Clayton Kershaw was gone and I had to take Stanton there.
Yeah, that leaves me some difficult choices. And look at the pitchers going off the board. You know, Corbin, Castillo, Morton, Anola, Greinke, all of those 5 in the last 6 picks. And a guy that I had my eye on was Anthony Rizzo. Thought he might fall to me.
Sure.
And that's the one thing I'll tell you. First base, after you get past, the first 5 or 6 guys, then you may need to wait on first base for a long time because I don't see anybody that really jumps out at me. That means Matt Olson, I think, is the highest ranked first baseman. I don't know that I want to go there. And in fact, since taking 3 hitters at the beginning, I think I'm going to look starting pitcher. And with the best guys on the board, Lucas Giolito and Noah Syndergaard and Chris Paddock, I'm going to check my rankings real quick to find I have Chris Paddock ahead of all 3 of those, or both of those other guys. So if I'm going to go young,
over Giolito,
I do have him over Giolito.
Okay. Giolito did not end the season quite as well, and all we saw from Chris Paddock was just sheer dominance.
Yeah.
I mean, if he throws 180 innings this year, he's got a really good chance to be a top 10 starting pitcher.
All right, I'm going to go there, and again, maybe a little bit more against the grain than the draft wizard would like, but I'm going to risk getting a poor grade by going with.
I love it, and that's why we do these drafts, right? Do your thing, see how it works, see how you feel about it. Do 20, 30 mock drafts, and you'll know exactly what you want when you head into draft day.
Yep, and all of a sudden, I look. Couple of third basemen go after I pick Paddock, so no sweat there because I've got Rendon. First catcher and Real Muto, and then Giolito goes. Yeah. At this point here in round number 6, I'm going for more offense. Olson still available. Max Muncy also available at first base and second base. That's a tough one.
Yeah, you were talking about those multi-positions.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between Olson's, 265 batting average and Muncy's 245.
Mm-hmm.
But they're pretty much the same player besides those multi-positions.
Yeah, and I've got Olson considerably further ahead. So I think...
And maybe Muncy will still be there with your next pick.
That could be. I'm going to go with Matt Olson then.
In fact, our pick predictor says that there is a 82% chance that Max Muncy will be available. Looks like he is. Oh, wait, that's for me.
Good. So far, so good.
I'm not taking Max Muncy. Let me see who I actually am taking. This is kind of a dead spot in the draft for me, where I talked about in that second, third round, where there's no one that really seems like a value there because there's like 5 or 6 guys who are all bunched up. And that's how it is at this stage in the draft. Like the top shortstop available, Bo Bichette. I think he's a little bit overrated at this point. I don't mind Max Muncy whatsoever. Don't love his batting average. Jose Abreu, but again, he's a lot better than the other first baseman, but you can wait until, Joey Votto is the number 20 first baseman off the board. I think he's going to be fine this year. Christian Walker had a great season. There's all kinds of values down there. Over at third base, Matt Chapman, Josh Donaldson injury prone, Matt Chapman with the batting average issues. Tommy Pham is the top outfielder, another guy with injury issues. I really like Joey Gallo, Victor Robles. Feels like a reach at this point. Syndergaard's there. He's a little bit overrated. And then I don't like drafting relief pitchers this early. Josh Hader's still available. He's going to be taken probably in the next round or so. I'm looking at Yu Darvish, Tyler Glasnow with those outfielders. So let me pull it up. I've got a bunch on my screen here. Victor Robles with those stolen bases is awfully tempting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say anything.
I'm going to go with Tommy Pham. Tommy Pham offers the best of both worlds. Power, speed, not going to hurt you in batting average. If he gets hurt, that's really going to suck. But I think this Padres lineup is going to be good enough this year that he's going to help me with runs and RBIs as well. So now I have to decide, do I want to go big power with Stanton and Joey Gallo? Or do I want to go get myself another power speed guy, Victor Robles? And I'm sorry, it sounds like you want him. That's who I'm leaning towards right now. Tyler Glasnow, best starting pitcher available on the board. And it looks like I'm going to put Trevor Bauer up there as well. Let me see here. This is a tough decision for me. I'm going to go with the way I would. Oh, man, Trevor Bauer's awfully tempting. I'm going to go with the way I was leaning, though, and go take Victor Robles.
Okay.
Sorry, I've already got 4 outfielders now. I probably shouldn't have been so stingy. And I could hit revert pick, let you get your guy.
But would he be there, too? I mean,
Sure,
there's still 6 picks in between you and me that I'm sure he could have been snapped up. But I do need speed. So that's where I was looking. And Robles, yeah, definitely depends on where he's going to hit in that Nationals lineup, too.
Yeah.
You know, if he hits in the 8th spot, he's not going to get a lot of chances or as many chances to steal bases.
So I'm on the Zeal projections page right now, which is, you've got all these tabs. When you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see this, but I'll just describe it to those of you who are audio only. You can click on the Zeal projections. Our Zeal projections are consensus projections from all the projection models around the industry. And it says Malik Smith, 42 stolen bases if you need it. D. Gordon, 28. And then a big old drop off down to 23 at Byron Buxton, Elvis Andrus, Bo Bichette. You going to go Bichette?
No, I mean, again, with that shortstop position already filled from Trevor Story, I would definitely have taken. I'll tell you, I would definitely have taken Robles there because in terms of outfield, and this has Yordan Alvarez as an outfielder. So in that regard, I don't have any outfielders if you look at the strict position eligibility there. So in terms of outfielders for me, Eddie Rosario
I just paused
is
the
the
draft
top
for you
guy.
since I talked like the whole time that you were to pick. So sorry about that.
That's okay.
And,
That's okay.
I resumed the draft, so you've got 20 seconds to finish up, and then you can go ahead and make your pick.
All right.
Apologies for interrupting.
I see Eddie Rosario as the top one. Jorge Soler there. Again, I still think that Max Muncy in this format,
he is still there for you. Whoa.
being still there, I've got to take him and fill that second base spot. So now I have first, second, short, and third already filled up, and I can go all in on outfielders next time.
That's a heck of a pick. Yeah, I did not realize he was still available. That's nice.
Bing.
All right, so it is back to you. Jorge Soler off the board. Bo Bichette, Tyler Glasnow off the board. Is this the point where you start to think about relief pitchers, or you like me and you won't draft any in the first 10 rounds?
No, I think this is where it's time to start thinking about them.
Okay.
And, Aroldis Chapman is still on the board. And at this particular pick here in the 8th round, I think that's sort of the sweet spot. And the fact that I'm not going to be able to pick for, I've got the big wraparound.
Ozuna's going to be gone. Hand's going to be gone. Jansen's going to be gone.
I think this is where the run starts. So with only, I guess, Hader's off the board, Kirby Yates is off the board, I'm going to take Aroldis Chapman here.
Yes. James Paxton's still there for me. All right.
Ooh.
I'm going to make sure that there's nobody else that I want to take more than him, but I'm pretty sure that that's who I want. I was really crossing my fingers like the whole time you were talking. Ooh, Tim Anderson is still there too. Dude hit 335 last year with power and speed. Eddie Rosario. Well, this is interesting. Eddie Rosario, ECR number 70. We're pick number 94. So the next best guy available in terms of ECR. And ECR, if you don't know, is our expert consensus rankings. So we've got 50 plus analysts around the industry who have given their rankings to FantasyPros. And the reason they do that is because we have an accuracy contest where we judge everyone based on the actual performance of these players and say, these are the guys who gave the most accurate rankings. And so that's why they all send it to our site. And so we can use that also to tell you guys what the industry thinks as a whole. Eddie Rosario at number 70 is such a steal. And then Anderson, pick predictor, that's the page I'm on right now. It says Paxton has a 25% chance of being picked before my next pick in 5 picks. I'm going to take the chance. I'm going to take my 5th outfielder right now.
Whoa.
And go grab Eddie Rosario.
You and I have really gone opposite poles on this.
You're
because
all infield, I'm all outfield.
exactly. So that at least we're
And
not sniping
I
each
like
other.
your situation a little bit better because there's so many outfielders that I like later. Like you can get Corey Dickerson in the 20th round, and he's super solid. But I liked the values on these guys. Yelich at 3, obviously. Stanton dropping. I had to take Pham just because of the power speed. Robles, same thing. Rosario. I'm going to go ahead and grab my guy right now, though, before I keep talking more.
Yeah.
Although, man, Tim Anderson is really tempting. I've already got 2 starting pitchers. I'm going to pull up Anderson right now just to think about it a little bit more. So he's projected to go about 2020, bat 282. Do you think his batting average really falls off 50 points this year?
Yeah, I kind of do.
Yeah, I'm with you.
The discipline, the plate discipline, and his batting average on balls in play was what, upper like 390 or 400 or something like that.
Right.
This past season. So I mean,
he's fast. So
some
his BABIP's going to be a little bit higher, but that's extraordinary.
Yeah, and the history of hitting that high, he does not have. So even though if his average does drop 50 points and he hits 380 or 280, that's still pretty good.
It is pretty good, but it's not great. Now I do need a shortstop, so that would be nice. But I'm going to go with James Paxton, who every time he's healthy is the absolute man. He's going to get a bunch of wins in with the Yankees lineup behind him. So I've got my 3 pitchers: Chris Sale, Clayton Kershaw, James Paxton to start things off. Now it's back to you for 2 picks. Brantley's off the board. Ozuna almost fell back to you. Oh, man, that would have been huge.
Yes. And also, Trey Mancini just went, who's also eligible in the outfield. I'll tell you what, it makes it difficult here. And I've got to take an outfielder, I feel like, just because at this point, I don't want to be scrambling later on in the draft. I feel like I can make some pitching gains later on. Mike Soroka, the top-ranked pitcher, still on the board.
I feel like after Soroka, there's a bit of a drop-off.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go with a guy who just signed today, Nick Castellanos.
What a great landing spot, too, playing in the great launching pad in Cincy.
Yeah, I mean, their outfield certainly is a bit crowded, I think we can say. But there also could be some trade possibilities. A lot of rumors flying around. Nick Senzel is a very high-ceiling young player. And we don't know if maybe the Indians and the Reds might have a cross-Ohio trade in the works for one Francisco Lindor, but that's certainly the rage of Twitter this morning.
Can you imagine the Cardinals and Cubs reacting to that?
The
them going out and getting Lindor after they sign Castellanos?
Yeah, those two teams.
Both teams are sitting on their hands.
Yeah, and I think that's what's probably more concerning to fans of those teams.
Right.
So, I like what the Reds have been doing. And, all right, let's see. Liam Hendricks, Grandal, Polanco, Brad Hand. So, a couple of closers. No outfielders go in between, and I got another pick.
You still have Jansen, Diaz, Ken Giles.
Yeah, I think I'm going to stay away from the closers again. And I'll tell you what, I do need some speed here. And one of the guys that I really like, and I think I'm finding myself getting more shares of than maybe most people, Oscar Mercado of the Indians. And he's a guy that, probably going to hit up toward the top of the lineup, I think. Maybe he leads off and Lindor hits second. But yeah, he's got a lot of speed. He's going to run. I need some speed. So I'm going to go outfielder here with my 2 picks, and Castellanos and Mercado.
This is like the grand reveal for me looking at who was taken. I wanted Soroka or Tim Anderson to fall. I thought it was very unlikely Anderson would fall. I thought Soroka had a chance. I talked about a big drop-off after Soroka, and I think that is the case. Now, I wouldn't mind taking Carlos Carrasco, hoping he comes back and is back to being one of those top 15 pitchers in baseball, maybe even top 10. Madison Bumgarner, not the big drop-off everyone thinks it is, going from San Francisco to Arizona. And he's super solid. Let's just look at his stats over the last couple of years. I'm going to pull it up for those of you on the watching on YouTube. I mean, every single year. Last year was his worst ERA by far, but he struck out 203 guys again. Stupid durable, great whip every single year. In fact, I'm talking myself into him right now. And I still need all of these infielders. Corey Seager's out there. Ahmed Rosario is out there. It's pretty ugly over at third base. I'm going to wait for Miguel Sano or JD Davis. I love both those guys. Lourdes Gurriel Jr., I absolutely love this year. I'm going to get so many shares of him. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take Madison Bumgarner, get that 4 starting pitcher, and then I'll start to worry about my infield a little bit. And hopefully, Steve doesn't take all the guys that I just mentioned. I don't think he will, since he doesn't need any right now.
And you got to pick before I do. So
there is one relief pitcher, and if you're watching on YouTube, you get a sneak preview that I really want. Says there's a 12% chance he's taken. I'm going to wait on him. I'm going to get him next round. I'm thinking maybe I'll go get another starting pitcher right now. Zach Gallen's out there. Dinelson Lamet is out there. Miguel Sano might be taken before my next pick. That would really bother me. But there's a pretty big drop-off at shortstop after these next 2 guys. Rosario, Corey Seager. That's who I'm going to decide between right now. Maybe even catcher. Let me see. No, there's a couple catchers that I'm still pretty fond of. Okay, so I've already got a lot of speed. Seager's in a better lineup, so he's going to get more runs and RBIs. Rosario, well, their 2019 stats, Rosario had a better batting average. Let's look at those projections here. So the projections are pretty similar for batting average. Rosario's obviously going to steal more bases. So I'm going to go to strengths and weaknesses and see where my team sits right now in terms of totals. I'm second in stolen bases. I'm way down in homers, RBIs, runs. Really what it comes down to for me is Corey Seager, is he going to be healthy? Is he going to get traded? Is he going to be in the same type of lineup? I'm going to go ahead and play it safe with Ahmad Rosario as my shortstop, and it is on to you, Steve, for pick number 11.
Come on, baby. Looks like there are still some relief pitchers. I think here is where, when we're playing without free agent pickups or anything like that, we're just looking for what the grade is of our team that we drafted. Here's where I think I need to go ahead and get a second relief pitcher, a second closer. And you know what? And look, I'm going to go double back to my rankings. I don't have them exactly the same as they do here. So while Taylor Rogers is the number 1 relief pitcher on the board, well, I'm torn, Bobby, between Rogers and Raisel Iglesias, who I have a little bit higher. I
was so nervous you were going to say my guy, but those are both really good picks.
Okay, and so in this case, I'll tell you what, I would be up in the air between those 2. I'll go ahead. Rogers, I think, is a little bit maybe safer in terms of getting save chances on the Twins, so I'll go ahead and take him, and we'll see how things work as we go back
there goes
around.
A big run of starting pitchers there. Ryu, Wheeler, Lamet, and Zach Gallen.
Yipes. And now with only 2 starting pitchers and 2 closers, I feel like I've got to take a starter here. At this point, let's see the top starting pitchers on the board. Lance Lynn, Kyle Hendricks. All right.
There's a lot of projection guys here. Like, what if Robbie Ray is healthy? What if David Price is healthy? Jesus Luzardo, is he going to start the year in the rotation?
I'm really big on Luzardo, but whether he's going to be able to pitch an entire season, I think it's
going to be like Chris Paddock, kind of.
Yeah. And if I take one, I don't think I can afford to take both. So I'm going to look for somebody who is very stable, probably a guy that maybe surprised a lot of people. But last year, Lance Lynn was just money. Start in, start out.
Yes.
Strikeouts. And Texas with the new ballpark this year is not going to be as hitter-friendly, it seems like, because they're going to have the roof that they can close. I'm going to go with Lance Lynn, and the draft wizard seems to agree with me there. And I will take him as my number 3 starting pitcher.
That is such a great call, and I love that you brought up the new ballpark, because a lot of people listening probably don't realize that happened. Texas is consistently one of the top 5 hitters ballparks, usually in that top 3 as well. And that had to hurt Lynn quite a bit. I mean, you have to imagine if Lance Lynn was playing in a ballpark like Tampa, what would he have done last year with 250 strikeouts?
Oh, goodness.
His ERA would have been south of 3 probably.
Oh, yeah. No question about that.
Corey Seager's still sitting out there. That is screaming right in my face. Elvis Andrus as well. I probably don't need the stolen bases, but if I did, I'd be pulling the trigger there. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. is still there for me. He's probably going to be available next round. Miguel Sano. It's getting risky. I don't know if I can wait any longer on Sano. My relief pitcher is going to be there for me next round, so I'm going to wait one more round at least on that relief pitcher. I'm going to go ahead and take Sano now. A couple catchers that I'm still very fond of, so I can wait on that position. But it's, oh man, Sano or Corey Seager. Maybe I can get both of them. Ooh, maybe I can get both of them. Okay.
Hey, well, and
I'm going to do it.
Sano's going to play first base a lot, so he's going to have dual eligibility this year.
Yeah, I'm going to go for this, all right? I'm pushing my luck. I'm going to go Corey Seager here, and hopefully I can get Miguel Sano. And if I don't, I've already got Devers at third base, so that'll be okay. Then I'll just go get J.D. Davis later. And he's there, Miguel Sano. Let's go, baby.
Look at that. The gamble pays
Actually,
off.
you know what? I can't do it.
What?
I'm going to have to take my relief pitcher. I didn't realize that he was going to be gone before my next pick. So Emilio Pagan, welcome to the team. Miguel Sano probably will not be there next round, but that's okay. That's all right. And Sano was taken immediately after me. That's a bummer. That's all right, though.
All right, let's see. David Dahl and Kyle Tucker, as if I'm looking at my outfield, they were up there.
I like them both, but Franmil too.
Yeah.
And Iglesias is still there as well.
All right, here's where I need to think about things, because I kind of like Lorenzo Cain. Again, speed. Might that be the last? Malik Smith is still there.
Yeah.
And it may be the point where if I'm going to compete in stolen bases, then maybe I do have to take a Malik Smith here, because with Anthony Rendon, Alvarez, Castellanos, probably not going to get many steals out of them, not going to get many out of Muncy, not Olsen. I think I'm going to have to go the pure speed play here. It makes my Mercado
right
pick.
Now, by the way, you're projected for last in stolen bases. If you draft Malik Smith, you are going to jump to third place.
Yeah. It kind of makes my Mercado pick, looking at him for speed, a little bit too early. Maybe I could have gotten something else there, but definitely it's time to go ahead and get that speed, so I'll take Malik Smith.
I can't believe the jump that gave you. That is ridiculous. And nice.
And, too, the other guy I had my eye on was Robbie Ray at this point. And that would have been, because I love the way that my pitching staff is set up with Snell and Paddock and Lance Lynn. Not so much, but the whip and ERA looks really good there. And I can afford to take, a risk on a high strikeout guy like Robbie Ray. So taken right before my pick, a little bit unsettling, but I guess I can live with that. So at this point, the best guys, Iglesias still on the board.
Yeah.
Franmil is there. David Price, Matthew Boyd. Matthew Boyd, I think, is kind of a I don't know if you could say
if I needed a starting pitcher, that's who I would be taking.
Yeah, I can't say a poor man's Robbie Ray, because they're both not great. I think in terms of ratios, but very good in terms of the strikeout situation. So,
and there's no way he gives up 39 homers again this year, right?
Especially with Comerica, that park is
it's
where fly balls go to die.
It reminds me so much of Shane Bieber last year. All of the underlying metrics are saying this guy's a stud.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you what, I do like. I think Boyd is probably the guy there, but I have, and I'm going to be true to my
oh, I'm sorry, your
rankings.
time ran out. Let me see if I can revert this really quick.
Who did it take for me?
It took Hector Neris.
No, definitely don't want that.
Oh, bummer.
Please, if you can run that back.
I actually don't know if I can in the multi-user draft. That might be something that we need to add.
All right.
So I'm sorry. It looks like you have Hector Neris.
Okay. Thanks, Hector.
Well, I'm looking at it right now, and his projections are very good.
Okay.
30 saves, 85 Ks.
All right. Well, I bet
I'm
pretty good shape in saves then with those three guys.
Yes, you will absolutely be in good shape with saves.
All right.
And Matthew Boyd might still be available for you right now.
If we were doing it, David Price would have been the guy. I would have taken him ahead of Matthew Boyd.
Oh, would you? Okay.
On my rankings, yes.
There is a chance he will still be available to you. Now, I'm going to go ahead and take I was going to take Brandon Workman. He'll be there next round, though. I'm going to go ahead and grab Lourdes Gurriel Jr., who is my guy this year. He was so good once he got called back up from the minor leagues. If I need an outfielder, I'd go for Franmil here. I think that's a good pick, but Lourdes Gurriel Jr., multi-position eligibility, lots of power. I think he's going to have a good batting average, even steals a couple bases as well. So he's going to be my second baseman this year. And then the background, I'm not taking any chances. Yeah, I know he might last another round, but I'm taking my dude, Brandon Workman, who, inning per inning was one of the best relief pitchers in baseball last year. I think he's got the closer job on lockdown in Boston. He's going to get 30-plus saves, help you with those ratios, the Ks as well. So Brandon Workman is now my second relief pitcher behind Emilio Pagan, and it is back to you.
The amazing thing about Workman last year, 1 home run allowed.
Yes.
It's stunning, the fact that he was able to do that. All right, let's see. My turn. David Price is gone. Matthew Boyd, they went back-to-back at the end of the 14th round. So here in the back of the 15th, I've got, 3 pitching spots. I've got a corner. I've got a middle infield. I've got my catcher that I still need to get. But in a 12-team league, I think I can go ahead and just wait. Salvador Perez, Wilson Ramos still out there. I think I'm going to wait on catcher. Who else? Christian Walker, Gene Segura, if I want some speed. Wow. You know what?
Justin Turner's still out there if you need batting average.
And Brian Reynolds as well was another guy I was looking at. The question is, if I'm taking Malik Smith and Max Muncy and Matt Olson, I could just sort of bag batting average and go all power. I don't think I'm going to do that.
Your batting average right now is not bad at 271. You're still in decent shape there.
All right, I'm going to go with a guy I think is getting a lot of interest, and that's Brian Reynolds. I'm going to go ahead and take him. I think he's got a great chance to hit close to 300, so I will go with him and fill out my outfield spots.
Steve, I did a expert mock earlier in the month, and J.D. Davis was taking a pick before me because I was cute, and I was getting cute, and I thought I could wait one more round. And I vowed to myself, I will never let this happen again. I will always reach for J.D. Davis, and he was just taken. No! I don't get him again, so I missed on Sano and J.D. Davis. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself here, but I'm pretty bummed out. Anyway, it's back to you for pick 16. I just had to rant on that a little bit.
Okay, I understand when we lose our favorites like that. Okay, here's where, again, looking for the multi-position guys, I see a Ryan McMahon at the top of the second baseman list. I see, who else? Justin Turner is still there.
Is he going to play? Like, can we actually trust the Rockies to play their best players?
Yeah, that is a great question. I mean, Garrett Hampson's another guy. Is he going to get playing time?
Brendan Rodgers. They've got so many options there in the infield.
Right. And I see, again, Justin Turner is there. I need a corner infielder. I'm going to go ahead and take Turner there.
Oh, man, I was holding out hope that he was going to drop to me. Oh, good pick. That's a
Plug him
really
in the corner
good
spot.
pick to get him. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and grab my catcher now, Salvador Perez. I'll figure out the next round in just a moment, but I definitely want him. And then after this, Lance McCullers is out there. See, I've only got 4 starting pitchers right now, and I'm a big believer in McCullers. I'm not really seeing any other starting pitchers that I would feel comfortable having as my number 5 right now. Luke Weaver actually is one that I like a fair amount. There's another relief pitcher I think he'll be there next round for me that I can get as my third reliever. At this point, third baseman, I'm probably just going to wait and grab Will Myers, and I know that doesn't really sound very sexy, but I think he's got a lot of power, speed, upside. Obviously not going to help in the batting average, but Will Myers is one of these guys that when his team is competitive, he plays great. And last year the Padres weren't, so I think this year the Padres are going to be right in the race. Maybe we get a Will Myers big time bounce back. Ryan McMahon is not a bad play. You talked about him a fair amount. I just wonder if he's actually going to get the play. So I'm going to go ahead and grab myself Lance. Actually, yeah, I'm going to grab myself Lance McCullers right now over Luke Weaver. I mean, let's not forget just how great this guy was before he was injured. And of course, the injuries are always on the table. Has he ever pitched 130 innings? I don't think so, but
no, he has
if
not.
He can stay healthy, I mean, this is a potential league winner like Shane Bieber last year, who we mentioned. Trevor Bauer, Blake Snell the year before. I could see McCullers taking that kind of jump. He's still just 26 years old with elite stuff. All right, and it is back to you after I took Salvador Perez and Lance McCullers. Who are you going with here, Steve?
All right, let's see. Weaver, Nick Anderson goes off the board. Andrew Heaney, Gallegos. So a lot of relief pitchers, maybe that aren't necessarily closers.
I
Are
think
going.
Gallegos is going to be the closer, by the way, because they're saying that Carlos Martinez is going to be in the rotation.
Yeah, although what I worry about with him is that Jordan Hicks is coming back mid-season.
And Alex Reyes, who they're saying could be a closer.
Right.
Yeah.
So there are an awful lot of possibilities there. I'm still going to bypass a closer. Um,
Especially since you got Hector Neris,
yeah,
right?
that's right. Suggesting that, yes. I'll tell you what, the guy that is at the top of my board right now and also looks like the top of the Draft Wizards board is Kenta Maeda.
Yeah.
And so with my starting pitching needs, I'm going to take Maeda, and we'll have two more starters to fill out the rotation or the lineup there. Utility and a middle infield, and we'll see who pops up after Hunter Dozier. That's a good pick. Odorizzi, Stroman, Archie Bradley. Who can I get? Starting pitching options. Let's see. We have Fultonevich, Miles Michaelis, Caleb Smith, Joe Musgrove. I like Musgrove, but again, in this situation, and he had a very bad start to the season after a very good 2018 season. I'm all in on the Mike Fultonevich rebound. So I'm going to go
He was
back to back.
great at the end of the year. Yeah.
Yes, he certainly was. So I'm going to go with Maeda and Fultonevich here in round 17 and 18, and I hope I've solidified my staff to get me competitive.
It looks good to me. It definitely looks good to me. So I've got 5 starting pitchers. I've got 2 closers. Let's see if my other closer is there. Oh, no, he was taken. Who? Oh, he was taken right before me. Keone Kela. He was so good in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that one blows. that hurts quite a bit. I still need a first baseman. I've got Eric Hosmer, Joey Votto, Daniel Murphy out there. I like all 3 of those guys quite a bit. I'm probably going to end up just taking 2 of them. Although Ryan McMahon is still there, I don't need a middle infielder because I got Corey Seager earlier. He's still someone I'm going to consider because he qualifies at first base as well. I'm not sure about the batting average. I would like a third closer, so I'm going to take a look here at the closers and see if I can grab one that I feel confident in. If not, I might just go with one of these guys like a Ryan Presley, a Dylan Betances, Diego Castillo, who's going to help me a ton with the ratios, get some Ks. And if anything happens to the closer, yeah, I'll get some saves as well. I think I'm set in the rotation. So let me see. Let me take a quick look at the relief pitchers. It's ugly. It is pretty ugly out there. I'm going to go ahead and grab one of these first basemen now. I'm going to take Hosmer, and then on the way back around, I'm probably going to go with Joey Votto. They're both available for me. Let me see just how different they were. Oh. Yep, and there goes McMahon as well. Joey Votto was bad last year. What the heck happened?
Yeah, I don't know. And you know what?
And his power was gone in 2018 already, too.
Yeah, you'd have to think if anybody can still be good deep into his career. Joey Votto is such a great scientist of hitting that he could figure it out. That there may be something still left there because, I mean, it was just a couple years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, he was an MVP candidate.
Right. And it's, Murphy, he's a great hitter as well, but we're talking about a 34-year-old who's never been healthy. Joey Votto's super durable. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go with Joey Votto.
All right.
Fill up my corner infield position. I need a utility man, 2 pitchers, 3 bench spots. What do you have left here, Steve?
I have a catcher, I have a middle infield, a utility, and a one more pitcher. Okay. Look and see who the catchers left are. Yadier Molina, Sean Murphy. I think everybody has a catcher except me at this point. So in that regard, I'm going to just wait and take catcher later.
There's actually 2 other teams that don't have any catcher. Yeah, Team 9 and Team 11 right around you.
Okay. So, but the top 11 catchers plus number 13 already off the board. So I guess that includes some guys that can play first base as well, perhaps.
Sure. Yeah, there was one team who took Wilson Contreras for their utility, Team 7. They also had Gary Sanchez.
Okay.
Jerks.
All right, so let's see. I'm still going to pass on catcher for a while. Middle infield, utility. Middle infield, the top ones: Michael Chavis, Rougned Odor,
Yeah.
Kevin Newman. Kevin Newman is interesting.
All
Again,
three of those are good picks at this stage in the
yeah.
draft.
If I'm still thinking batting average and speed, Newman fits that very well. Gives
Yes.
me a backup for Story at shortstop and Muncy if I want to move Muncy and take advantage of him. I'm going to go with the guy with the dual eligibility and take Newman.
That's a very good pick. Yeah. Daniel Murphy was still there for you as well. Let's go on back to the draft board. Murphy was just taken right before you. Brendan McKay came off the board. Lots of upside there.
Musgrove. I would like to have
Yeah, that's a
maybe
good one
had a
too.
chance to consider him. So pitcher, Griffin Canning, John Gray, Ryan Yarbrough. Uh, I
You've got five
probably
starting
need.
pitchers already. Do you want more than that?
What's that?
You've got five starting pitchers already. How many do you like to carry on your roster?
I think in this format, three closers and six starters probably works
Okay.
best. So I would lean starter over reliever, unless I get a bulk strikeout, high strikeout kind of relief pitcher. Um, I think I have Griffin Canning as the number one on my board, but again,
He didn't
young
end the
players.
season well, but he was sure on fire for a while. He's got some
Yeah.
good stuff.
Um, I think
What about Chris Archer with the way he ended the season?
I like Chris Archer as a player, but I'm not sure he's in position to succeed in Pittsburgh. That's the one thing that
Okay.
might worry me there. You know what? I'm gonna go kind of off the board here. Um, I'm thinking. Here's what I'm thinking, Bobby. I'm thinking to get a little bit more power. I'm considering CJ Crone, and I don't know
Okay.
if that's the way that I should be going. Um, Another guy I also like is Avi Garcia of the Brewers.
He's still out there?
He's still out
Oh,
there.
man. If I needed an outfield, I would have taken him 4 rounds ago. I
Yeah.
love that guy, especially moving from Tampa to
Yep.
Milwaukee. This is one of the guys who's near the top in the league in exit velocity every year.
And he's fast.
Yes, he
In
is.
terms of sprint speed, he's very high. I think I'll go ahead, and plus this will make my lineup more legitimate because I'll have an outfielder and I can move
And
Yordan
maybe I'll
Alvarez
trade
to
for him. Maybe you can
utility.
still end up getting Victor Robles so I can get Aviel Garcia.
All right.
Oh, it's to me now. Okay, all right. Round 20, 21, need a pitcher, catcher, 3 bench spots. Oh, that's your team. Sorry about that. I was on your team. So I need a utility man, 2 pitchers, 3 bench spots. Let's go on over to Pick Predictor to see what's available here. This is my preferred screen. Michael Chavis is still out there. I still want that third closer. I don't actually think that I'm going to go with a third closer, though. I think I'm going to end up going with 3 relief pitchers, maybe. Ryan Braun is out there. David Peralta, if I need a utility guy. Will Myers. I like all 3 of those options quite a bit, actually. I'm probably going to wait and see which of those 3 drops to me for my utility spot. But everybody here is kind of a bit of a reach, except for those outfielders. So I'm going to go ahead and just get my favorite guy here, Ryan Braun. I understand he's 36 years old, but you look at what he's done the last 3 seasons, and every year, yeah, he's going to miss some time, but he's going to also bat .270 with 20 homers and 10 steals. I'm going to get Ryan Braun from my utility spot right now, and then load up on those, relief pitchers who aren't closers in the final couple rounds.
And that's a good thing too, because Ryan Braun is going to play a lot of first base this year.
Sure.
Because of the Brewers have their outfield spots kind of sewn up. So if he doesn't play every day in the outfield, at least he can continue to play some at first base. So I think that's a real good pick.
Right, and it is back to me. I'm looking at the board right now to see strengths and weaknesses. I'm a little bit low on wins and saves. My ERA and WHIP are actually great, so maybe I don't need to go that route that I had typically been looking at going. It's really tempting for me to not go grab Will Myers because I talked about him later. He's one of the guys that I'll be targeting fairly often. He's likely going to be gone next time. Let's see here. Ryan Presley's still going to be available, it looks like. Now, there's a chance he's taken, of course. Michael Shave is still out there. I'm going to go ahead and grab my guy, Will Myers, so I don't regret it once again missing out on one of those third basemen that I like late in drafts. Drop my batting average a fair amount, though. It's going to drop me 1 or 2 spots, but it's going to help me in home runs and stolen bases. Now it's on to you for 2 more picks, Steve.
All right, a lot of pitchers going, and I have 1 pitching spot. I have a catcher. Let's see. Who's available? Yadier Molina still available at catcher. Sean Murphy. I think I'm going to wait another round there and look for a starting pitcher. Let's see.
I'm disappointed for you that Alfaro's not there because he's the late round catcher that I just love.
Yeah, yep. And I think he went a little bit earlier than I think I would have expected too.
Yeah.
Here, John Gray, Jose Quintana. There's Chris Archer. I'll use this opportunity. He'll probably be there later, but keep an eye. Yanni Chirinos is a guy that I find is falling to me an awful lot in some of these mock drafts. I don't know if he's going to be there when things come around, especially since I've mentioned him. Although I know you wouldn't snipe me on purpose.
I'm not taking him. Don't worry. I think it's a good pick though.
I do like him. I think he might be available later. Jose Quintana also there. Don't really love him, but I'm going to try and go ahead and take Quintana, and we'll see what happens in the next round.
I think Stripling is probably my favorite starting pitcher available, and it just depends on if he's going to be in the rotation. But at this stage in the draft, there's not much that you lose by taking a chance on a guy who's always great when he pitches.
And here I thought Yadier Molina was still going to be available, and he was just taken 1 pick before me. So,
Sean Murphy's got a lot of upside as well, though. I mean, all of these options at catcher, what's the difference, really?
Yeah, at this point, and since we're only starting 1 catcher, I think, any of these guys still out there. In fact, Travis d'Arnaud is a pretty decent catcher as well.
Yeah.
So I could go best player on the board or fill out my starting lineup again. John Gray is there. I'm gonna take Yanni Chirinos now and cast my lot with him. I think he's got with Tampa Bay. If they do use the opener again, Chirinos is one of those guys that comes in, can vulture wins, and I think he's got the stuff to allow him to be successful, help my ratios in ERA. So there we go.
I think that's a really good pick. Seeing what I'm lacking right now, I'm going to go ahead and grab Ross Stripling as a 6th starting pitcher. Going to help me a little bit with wins and Ks, which I'm lagging behind on. I need 1 more pitcher spot. In fact, I'm probably going to fill up my bench with pitchers as well. Michael Chavis is still available. What?
Wow.
I'm taking him. I'm taking him.
I would have considered him too. He's got a great opportunity there in Boston. Again, multi-position guy, and could play first base, could play some second base. I think that's a real good pick at this stage.
All right, it is back to you for 2 more picks, and we're running out of selections. In fact, I've got 2 left.
Tell me how I look in terms of the categories for.
Sure. So
are
right
there any
now,
weak spots?
You're down in runs, home runs, RBIs, and I think a lot of that just has to do with volume.
Yeah. All right. I think Hunter Renfroe is still available. Might make a good pick there. So Buster Posey also, if I'm going to get a catcher. Not going to get a whole lot of home runs. I'm going to go ahead and load up on power.
CJ Cron is still out there, by the way.
Oh, darn. I missed out.
You can get them both.
That's true. That's true. There goes Buster Posey, already taken. Cron is still out there. How about that? I think at this point, since we're starting to fill up our benches, I'm going to look for a catcher and go ahead and bite the bullet now. Francisco Mejia, Travis d'Arnaud still out there. I'll tell you what, d'Arnaud had a very good season last year, and I think the upside is a little bit better than Mejia, who will probably have to split time. I'm going to go ahead and take him now.
Oh, Nomar Mazara was just taken, who is somebody I was eyeing quite a bit. He would have helped you a lot with homers, runs, RBIs as well. Now it's to me for my final 2 picks. I need a pitcher and a bench spot. I'm probably going to take 2 of these relief pitchers as I talked about. All right, let's see here. And that is definitely what is recommended here. Let's see if I can get some saves as well while I'm at it. So I've got Presley, who I love, Adam Ottavino. Let's see here. Diego Castillo, I mentioned earlier. Hey, where'd he go? He's taken. Whoever it was that I was looking for down the list is gone. That's a bummer. Oh, it was Dylan Betances. Yeah, Betances would have been a nice pick. Okay, so I'm going to sort it by relief pitchers only. I'm definitely taking Ryan Presley. I'll do that one now and then figure out the next one here in just a second. Do you think Blake Trinan, any chance he bounces back? He was so bad.
I do. I really do. And he was so good the year before and
Just
so bad.
incredible, yeah.
I think that the opportunity could be there depending on what's up with Kenley Jansen. I think Kenley Jansen's health could be the key. If you take Jansen, I think you definitely have to back him up with Trinan because if Jansen does have to miss time, there's that heart condition. We never know when that could pop
Right.
up again as an issue. And Trinan has shown in the past his ability to close. I think he's a sleeper guy to take in 20 plus round 20 plus.
I'm actually going to go a different direction here, and this is going to surprise a lot of people, okay? But I'm a big believer in Dylan Bundy's stuff, and I am going to draft him just in case he's great. Because he's moving from Baltimore to Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? If he's bad, I cut him. I'm not going to start him in the first 2 weeks. I'm just going to wait and see what I have and then cut him if I need to. Now, this is going to drag down my ratios a little bit, but it's also going to help me in wins and Ks, which is a weak spot for me. So I'm taking Dylan Bundy. And Steve, you get one more pick. After you pick, it's going to tell us our grades. And I like my team. We'll run through our teams and the categories as well.
Okay. And Steven Matz was a guy that I had my eye on, possibly taking. He just went. So I'm going to get another pitcher, I guess. Trinan is out there. Starters. I'll tell you what. Anibal Sanchez was very impressive last year for the Nationals in their run to the World Series. I still think he can get it done, and I still think he'll get some wins on a very good Nationals team. So Let's go ahead and take him.
All right, so our grades are in. I got a 99 A+.
Whoa!
I did not realize it was going to be that good. I mean, I liked my team, well-rounded and everything, but that is a big surprise for me.
I got a B-. It did not like what.
Well, you had some that ECR would consider a reach, but you went out and got your guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I like your team. I was looking at it just a moment ago. I'm going to pull up the details by category right now. And it's got you a little bit low on runs, home runs, RBIs, as mentioned. You're kind of in the middle of the pack in all of the hitting categories. As far as starting pitching, you're great in saves, obviously, because you got Hector Neris.
Right.
And really, that's the reason you got a B-. If you could have picked your guy, you would have got probably an A-, right?
I'd like to think so. But yeah, definitely a little low on wins. And maybe in terms of innings pitched as well, because I'm down in the 9th spot in Ks.
Sure. Actually, you're in the 9th spot in Ks if you only show starters, but when you include team totals, which is something you talked about, having those bench spots available for pitchers, it moves you all the way up to number 4.
Okay.
So my team really built on ERA and WHIP, and then top 5 in all the hitting categories. Not so great in wins, saves, and Ks, where I'm 8.78. Would have liked to get that third closer, but I missed out on Kella, which is a big bummer. So let's go ahead and read through our final rosters. Steve, why don't you give us yours from top to bottom?
All right. In terms of catchers, catcher was Travis d'Arnaud, waited late. Matt Olson at first base. Max Muncy, position eligible at first, third, and second. I have him at second. Trevor Story, first round pick at shortstop. Anthony Rendon at third base. Corner infield, Justin Turner. Middle infield, Kevin Newman.
That infield is so good.
Eligible, yeah, shortstop, second base, so I'm really happy with that. In the outfield, I've got Yordan Alvarez, Nick Castellanos, Oscar Mercado, Malik Smith, and Brian Reynolds. Not a whole lot of pop, and that's where the home run total did not get up there for me. Utility, Avisail Garcia, And my
Jealous.
starting pitching staff: Blake Snell, Chris Paddock, Lance Lynn, Kenta Maeda, top starters. Relievers: Aroldis Chapman, Taylor Rogers, Hector Neris. And the rest of the pitchers: Mike Foltynewicz, Jose Quintana, Yanni Chirinos, and Anibal Sanchez. And my bench hitter is Hunter Renfroe.
That's a really good team, Steve. I don't think that is a B minus. However, the expert consensus is going to do what the expert consensus does, and it's fun to do these drafts and figure out, what we like about our team, what we can do differently. I'm going to read mine in a second, but I'm going to remind you all, if you want to compete with us and see what your grade is, it's fantasypros.com/draftwizard. Remember, this is a free tool. It's super fast. You can do your drafts in 5-7 minutes. We also have an app for it as well. As you can see, it was really fun, and it's going to help prepare you for your drafts. So here's my team. I've got Salvador Perez, Eric Hosmer, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., Ahmad Rosario, Rafael Devers, Joey Votto, Corey Seager. That infield looks like trash compared to yours. I've got some upside there and some safety as well, but no real stars. The outfield, different story. Christian Yelich, Giancarlo Stanton, Tommy Pham, Eddie Rosario, Victor Robles. I never would have thought that I would draft 5 outfielders in the top 100 picks and still get an A+. That just doesn't really happen, but the values were good. My utility guy, Ryan Braun. On the bench, I've got Michael Chavis and Will Myers. And then my pitching staff, I'm really fond of these guys. It just depends on health, right? Chris Sale, is he going to be healthy? Clayton Kershaw, same thing. James Paxton. I got some safety in Madison Bumgarner. Another injury guy, Lance McCullers. Ross Stripling, is he even going to be in the rotation? And then my relief pitchers, I've got Emilio Pagan, Brandon Workman, Ryan Presley. Oh, and I have Dylan Bundy as well as a total crapshoot at the end of my roster. So, Steve, that's all for today's show. As always, it's a pleasure having you on. I love some of the picks that you made and super jealous of them as well. If you guys want to follow Steve, he's on Twitter at Steve A. Gardner. Steve, thanks again.
Hey, thank you, Bobby. This was a blast.
All right, guys, and I'm Bobby Sylvester. For Steve Gardner, thank you for listening, and enjoy your football. Enjoy your baseball. Sorry, everyone. Oh, man.